Well, I guess I was very fortunate to have Jack Stotts, who was actually a very prominent Presbyterian seminary pastor and president. He was president at McCormick and then came down as president of Austin Seminary. And Jack asked me if I would serve on the board of Austin Seminary. So I did that for 9 years and then was off a year and was on there another 9 years. So I had a chance to really see what was happening on one seminary campus. And then you put that together with my background in education. I was a college president, then I became dean of the LBJ School of Public Affairs. So I worked with graduate and undergraduate students. And in those roles, I got involved with the Ford Foundation. And the Ford Foundation had a program called Innovations in Government, really looking at the creative things that were happening around the country. And they had a video project. And out of that, I saw that of course, they have a lot of resources. And it was very important for them to tell the story. So it seemed to me that what we as Presbyterians need to do, and especially focusing on seminaries, is that we needed to tell our story. A lot of people in the pews, I think, are not aware of the tremendous impact that seminaries and the people who train there have on not only a local church, but upon the society we live in, because the leadership of this country, in many instances, has come from people trained in Presbyterian seminaries. I guess being involved in one and then becoming involved in the Committee on Theological Education, where I've had a chance to see seminaries all across the country, I've really come to the conclusion that seminaries not only matter, but they're actually essential. And I think that if you're going to deal with the diversity in the world, and these seminaries are all different. They're in different parts of the country. They have different compositions. And then what you see is that each one is responding to the needs in their area in the first place. And then many of their graduates go beyond their area and they end up in other places. So it's really very much like putting the leaven together and building a cake. And they become so important because someone from Texas will end up in Montana. Someone from Indiana will end up in New York. Someone in New York will end up in Atlanta. And so all of a sudden, they're really participating in the dramatic change that's taking place in this world. And I think one of the great things that gets lost is the diversity of all of our Presbyterian seminaries and how they really become part of something that's bigger than any one of them. I think probably by looking at each person who comes to a seminary, either for a degree or for a certificate, they come with their own unique personality, their own particularity. And I think that the seminaries have a great capacity to recognize and to say, that's okay, you are who you are. And we all are who we are, individually, separately. And out of that, something dramatic and mysterious miraculously happens. And I think that that's what we want to nurture, we need to encourage, and that's why the seminaries are absolutely critical to the change that's taking place in the world. Every influence in my life has come from a pastor, a teacher, a book, and probably in none of those would I be aware of it had it not been someone who was educated at a seminary who knew about it. I didn't. I learned a book because someone recommended it. It was someone who learned about it in the seminary. I taught something that was written by someone at a seminary. And I heard a sermon that all of a sudden touched me. It was someone in a seminary. I think what we take for granted is that these people came prepared to do what they were, just where they are. And I think that almost all of them, almost every church in the country, was formed by someone who was educated at a seminary. And I think that what we need to do, and I would ask you asking me the question, is I would just ask you to examine your own people that have touched you. And I would bet you that in almost every case, it's some way seminary related. And because of that, I hope you would support them. And the more support we can have, the more people that can be touched, just like I'm hoping you and I have been touched.